Level 1. The bedroom. You lay down a vocal take at midnight with a towel stuffed against the window frame. You listen back through headphones and it sounds right. You plug a speaker in and it sounds wrong. You upload the headphone version and walk to the coffee shop to check if it went live. 14 listens by the time you get back. 3 of them are you. Tuesday nights you play open mics at a bar on the east side. 5 minutes on a half-broken PA. The bartender stops washing glasses while you play and starts again when you're done. You step out onto the sidewalk after and don't know what that means yet. A man from the back row catches you outside. He runs a venue 2 blocks north and has a Thursday slot in 6 weeks. Door deal, no guarantee. You say yes before he finishes the sentence. Over the next 6 weeks, you send your link from wherever you happen to be. The back of the bus, a break room at work, your kitchen at midnight. Most don't respond. One local blog posts 2 sentences. You see it on your phone on the train and screenshot it immediately. There's no one to show yet. The Thursday comes. You load in through the side entrance. 14 people inside. 7 of them yours. 1 stranger stays for your whole set and finds you at the bar after. She says she got there from that blog post. You drive home and sit in the car before going in. The city is still small, but you're starting to find its edges. Level 2. The circuit. The venue guy texts on a Sunday morning. He needs a local opener for a touring act next Saturday. You show up at Load In and find a production crew of 8 doing what your one-bag setup does alone. You watch from the wings while they sound check. Their crowd shows up full, and you hold most of the room by the second song. The drummer finds you in the green room after and says you're better than their last opener. You start doing weekends on your own. Friday night in the city, Saturday a drive south, Sunday somewhere north. You borrow a car for the first run, navigate to venues you've never seen, load in alone at 7 p.m. You play 40 people and sleep on the promoter's couch before driving back Monday. A local paper runs a feature. You read it parked at a gas station pump on the way home from a show. 2 promoters call the same week. One of them walks you through an empty club on a Tuesday afternoon, 300 capacity. He offers $400 for a Friday date. It's the first time the money came before the show. That Friday, the room fills by your 3rd song. You look out from the stage, and the crowd is mostly strangers for the first time. You come off stage, and the promoter is already on his phone with someone about your next date. You're still covered in sweat. He's 6 weeks ahead. You need someone whose only job is to think further out than you can. Level 3. The spike. You wake up on a Tuesday to 4,000 new listeners. A playlist with 800,000 followers added your song at midnight. You check the number from the bathroom, then again on the sidewalk outside. By Friday, it's 11,000. You're in a coffee shop when an A&R rep from a major label emails asking if you have representation. You Google what A&R means at the counter before you reply. The showcase invites Start coming in. Not local venues anymore. Events in New York, Austin, L.A. You fly out for the first one on your own dime. The room holds 60 people. You play to 48. Afterward, a woman in a blazer asks if you have a manager. You say you're figuring that out. She gives you her card. Her job title is Senior Director. 3 managers reach out in the same week. One of them has artists with gold records. One of them seems to actually know your music. One of them is on the phone with someone else when you meet for coffee. You choose the second one. Slicked back hair, button up, phone that never stops buzzing. He says the right things and calls you back within the hour every time. The A&R rep, Marcus, wants a meeting in L.A. Your manager books it. You fly out, sit across from a man eating takeout on a label campus the size of a city block. He plays you back your own music and tells you what he hears. Some of it is right. You're inside a machine now, and the machine has very specific ideas about what you should sound like. Level 4. The contract. The label sends an offer on a Thursday. By Friday morning, you're in a lawyer's office on the 14th floor in Century City. She highlights 18 clauses before you've taken your jacket off. You walk out 2 hours later with a printed markup and a number in your head. $280,000. You do the math on the elevator down. By the street, it already feels smaller. You spend 3 weeks going back and forth. Her conference room in the morning with a printed red line. Your manager's office that afternoon with the label's business affairs rep on speakerphone. They argue about a clause for 40 minutes while you sit there. You learn what net receipts actually means. Your lawyer calls on a Wednesday morning. The masters aren't negotiable. She tried. You drive to Santa Monica and sign in a conference room on the label's campus. Someone hands you a bottle of water like it's a celebration. You own nothing you're about to record. 2 days later, you're in a session in Burbank. A producer with 3 platinum records shakes your hand. He asks what direction you're going. You start to answer. He nods and plays you a beat he already made. It's good. It's not yours. Marcus is on the couch behind you. He says, "This is the direction." Your manager is in the parking lot on his phone. You put the headphones on and start. Level 5, the album camp. The label flies you to Miami on a Sunday night. The studio complex is 3 buildings behind a gate with a guard. You check into the room they've booked, drop your bag, and walk straight to the session. It's 11 p.m. There are already 6 people in the control room. You write through the night. By morning, you have the skeleton of something real. You walk outside to the courtyard to hear it back on a portable speaker. A producer follows you out and says the vocal needs processing. You go back inside to the ISO booth and cut it again his way. It sounds bigger. It sounds less like you. You cross to the second studio where Marcus is listening to yesterday's tracks. He plays them back while eating Thai food out of a container. He tells you the second one is close. The first is a rewrite. The third is a different artist. You go back to the first studio and start over on the bridge. A different producer is in the chair now. You move between buildings for 3 weeks. Control room to ISO booth to courtyard at 3 a.m. The label sends notes from L.A. on a Tuesday. You read them in a stairwell between sessions. They want the hook repositioned. You rewrite it standing up with your phone as a notepad. The final version goes to L.A. for approval while you're on a plane back. You find out it passed when your manager texts you over JFK. The album is real. You own none of it, and your streaming numbers dropped 60% while you were inside. Level 6, the release. The label schedules 4 months of campaign before the album drops. Week 1 is press. You do 19 interviews in 3 days, same 7 questions in different rooms. A journalist asks what your music means. You give the answer your publicist rehearsed. It sounds true enough. Week 3 is TV. You fly to New York for a morning show performance. You're awake at 4:30 a.m. for a 7-minute slot. They put you in a green room with a fruit platter and no one speaks to you for 2 hours. You play the single live and it sounds different than the recording because the recording isn't quite your voice anymore. The clip gets 400,000 views by noon. Your manager calls it a win. The single goes to number 4. You find out in the back of a car between press stops when your manager texts. Marcus emails from a different city about the next session. At a festival in Belgium the following week, a headphone brand rep finds you at the side of the stage. Your manager says yes in the production trailer before you've heard the terms. A song you wrote alone is now in a commercial for something you don't use. The album drops. It does better than the label expected and worse than the internet predicted. Critics call your sound polished. You know what they mean. At the album release party on a rooftop in West Hollywood, someone you don't know calls you by your artist name like it's your actual name. Your manager is across the room already in a different conversation. You're the most visible you've ever been. And no one in this room knows anything real about you. Level 7, the headliner. You headline your first real tour. 31 cities, 9 weeks. Dana, your tour manager, hands you a schedule on a clipboard every morning at 8 a.m. Load in at noon. Sound check at 4. Doors at 7. You hit at 9. You do it again tomorrow in a different city. The bus leaves every night at midnight. You sleep while it moves. You wake up at a truck stop in a state you don't immediately recognize. At the next venue, you watch the lighting designer work the floor while the monitor engineer runs the console above. 16 people on this tour whose jobs exist because of you. In the green room before the show, you realize you don't know some of their last names. They know your set better than you do. The shows get bigger by week 3. A local station promotes the date in Atlanta, and the show sells out in 6 hours. You watch the sold-out notification on your phone in the back of a van between a radio station and the venue. It doesn't feel the way you thought it would. You're too tired for it to feel like much of anything. Your manager calls with the numbers from a different city. $1.1 million gross, $190,000 net after costs. He says that's strong for this level and is already talking about the next cycle. On the last night, Detroit, you stand in the wings before you walk out. You can hear 2,400 people who know every word. That part still hits. You walk out. You do the show. Then, Dana says the bus leaves in 40 minutes. Level 8, the brand. You're in the back of a Gulfstream when your manager calls about the next press run. You land in Tokyo and walk into a radio station before you've slept. 2 days later, you're on a flight to London for a TV spot. You sit with a laptop in every car between every appointment, and it already feels like your natural habitat. A fashion house wants a collaboration. A streaming platform wants a documentary. A phone company wants you for a global campaign. Your manager brings all three in the same week. You sit across from executives in glass offices, and they explain their vision for you. They have a very clear idea of what you represent, and none of it is exactly wrong, but none of it is exactly right either. You meet the stylist at a hotel fitting in Paris. Back in LA 2 weeks later, an assistant is waiting in your manager's office. By the following month, there's a second one. One Tuesday, you count 7 people managing parts of your schedule. You haven't sent your own email in 4 months. The second album takes shape over 6 weeks in a studio in Shoreditch. You pushed back on 3 songs this time and won. The release week, you're in New York doing press. Dinah texts you the arena production budget from the venue in LA while you're on the 42nd floor of a midtown hotel. The lighting rig alone costs more than your first advance. Level 9. The stadium. The production convoy is 22 vehicles. You watch it arrive from the window of a hotel suite 12 floors above the loading dock. It takes 3 days to build the stage. Your crew is 84 people. You walk the empty floor on day 2, 52,000 seats around you. The scale doesn't fully register until you're standing at the mic position and the stage manager is talking into a headset 40 meters away. On show night, you watch the first 30 minutes on a monitor screen in the production office backstage. Then, someone walks you to the wings. The crowd comes through the floor before you can see them. The pyrotechnics fire on cue from a laptop someone holds in a flight case. Your face on the video wall is 40 feet tall. You play 94 minutes. It costs $400,000 to produce and grosses $4 million. You're in the van back to the hotel before the last song is finished in your head. Your publicist handles the post-show press from the lobby. You eat in a back room with Dana and 2 security guys. Your relationship status was reported online while you were on stage. You find out in the elevator. You go home after the tour leg ends. The house doesn't feel like you've lived in it. You sit at a table and write a song in 2 hours that's more honest than anything on the album. You play it for your manager in his office the following week. He says it's great. He says the label wants to hear the next single first. Level 10, the catalog. Your lawyer brings you in 6 months before the deal expires. The label's number, $18 million for the masters of your first 3 records. Your business manager walks you through the projections at a conference table downtown. The royalties pay that back in 11 years if growth holds. You counter at $9 million in a meeting at the label's Santa Monica office. They say no. You walk out. You own nothing from the first 7 years. Your accountant lays it out at his desk on Wilshire. The songs from the Miami camp, the album that went gold, the single Marcus chose over your objection. They generate $2 million a year. You see a fraction of it. You drive to your lawyer's office afterward, and she tells you the deal was standard. She says it like that makes it okay. You sign the new deal in a conference room in Culver City. Co-ownership of masters from day one. Your manager brokered it over a year from wherever he was. The first album under the new deal takes 3 years, because this time, no one is allowed to rush it. The music press calls you a legacy act at 34. You sit on a panel at a music conference advising new artists about ownership and deal structure. A kid in the 3rd row has the exact look you had at your first showcase. Hungry, nervous, recording everything on his phone. Someone at the label has already emailed your manager asking if you know him. The machine is still running. Someone filled out that form on the label website tonight and has no idea what they're signing up for. They'll learn. They always do. The cycle begins.